If you're starting to worry because you feel behind in saving for retirement, this video is for you. I don't care if you have $200,000 or $2 million. Feeling behind when you're approaching 55 or 60 is incredibly common, regardless of how much money you actually have. After helping people prepare for retirement for over a decade, I see this universal anxiety hit almost everyone. It all boils down to the same haunting questions. Am I going to be okay? Do I have enough? I can't put in another 5 years because I'm so burnt out, but I have no idea where to start. Here's what I've learned. All of these fears revolve around one thing: uncertainty. So here's my promise to you today. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to replace that uncertainty with confidence. I'm going to show you exactly what you should be thinking about, what to plan for, and the specific milestones that will position you to retire comfortably on your terms. So let's start with the foundation, and it's probably the most important thing you can understand, which is your expenses drive everything in retirement. It doesn't matter if you have $500,000 or $5 million. If you're spending too much relative to what's coming in through Social Security, a pension, or investments, you will strain your retirement. So think of it like this. Your retirement is like a bucket with a hole in the bottom. The size of that hole, your monthly expenses, determines how fast your bucket empties. Now, most people obsess over making that bucket bigger, but ignore the size of the hole. In the years leading up to retirement, you need to figure out exactly how much you spend per month. Now, I know nobody likes the word budget, but this is a non-negotiable for retirement success. And don't use mental accounting here. You want to be laser accurate. So track it manually or use an app, but make sure you get the real numbers. So here's what I want you to do. Commit to a 30-day spending audit. Track every penny for one full month and don't overcomplicate it. The last thing we want to do is get bogged down with the details, right? So print your bank transactions or use a spending app. Then break your expenses into two categories. We have necessary living expenses, which are the non-negotiables. So that's insurance, food, utilities, your mortgage. And then we have discretionary expenses, which is the fun stuff. So entertainment, dining out, hobbies, etc. This breakdown is critical because our goal is to have our guaranteed income sources cover your necessary expenses. Which brings us to the next one. Know what your guaranteed income sources will be when you retire. Now, your guaranteed income in retirement typically comes from two places: Social Security and pensions. To figure out your Social Security benefit, go to ssa.gov, register, print off your most recent statement, and this is what it will look like. First, we want to make sure we qualify for benefits. So look at the top left section here in the retirement benefits section. You'll see what your full retirement age is. Then if we move over to the right-hand side, you'll see your personalized monthly retirement benefit at different ages. You can see taking it early at 62 gives you a reduced benefit, and waiting until age 70 will give you the maximum benefit. Now, most people don't realize this, but Social Security isn't meant to be your only income. Think of it as one leg of a three-legged stool, along with pensions and your investments. Some of us will have all three, but most of us will have access to two. Now, if you have a pension, it'll be really important to understand exactly what monthly payout you'll receive and when you're eligible for full benefits without early retirement reductions. This usually means you have to reach a specific number of years of service depending on what class of service you're in. So check your pension statement, make sure you understand it, and understand all of your options. Now, here's the key insight. Compare your guaranteed income, Social Security plus your pension, to your necessary living expenses. This tells you how big the gap is your investments will need to fill. This gap analysis brings us to the next piece, which is organize your investment picture. We need a clear picture of what we actually have, right? Most people are flying blind here. So create a simple personal balance sheet with these investment categories. The first one being taxable accounts, which includes your checking account, savings, and CDs. Then we have pre-tax accounts. This is your 401ks and traditional IRAs. Then we have tax-free accounts, which are Roth IRAs and held savings accounts, and real estate, which usually includes your home value or any rental properties you own. And if you own a business and you know the value of that business, you can put that down here as well. Now, here's what's interesting. Most people I work with have a similar pattern. The majority of their wealth is tied up in pre-tax accounts and their home equity, just like what we see right here. So most of you will be taking distributions from your pre-tax accounts when you retire. Now, the question is how much we will have to take. Let me show you how this works with an example. Meet John. His monthly retirement expenses are $5,000. His Social Security at full retirement age is $2,800 a month, and he has no pension. If we take $5,000 minus $2,800, that gives us $2,200 per month or $26,400 per year. So that's his gap and how much we need to take from our investments. Now, an easy way to get a ballpark figure and see how much we should have saved in investments to sustainably pay ourselves $26,400 per year, we can use the 4% rule as a rough guide. So $26,400, and we divide that by 0.04, that gives us $660,000 needed in investments. Now keep in mind, this doesn't factor in taxes, inflation, or investment returns, but it gives you a baseline to work from if you're 5+ years from retirement. Now, if you're a year or two away from retirement, I have much more in-depth case study videos on my channel where I take you through my actual planning software and we run real projections. So if you want to see more of those case study videos, let me know in the comments below. I enjoy making those and want to be as helpful as possible. Okay, so we did this simple calculation using the 4% rule, but what if the math doesn't look good? That brings us to the fourth piece, that it's never too late to catch up. If your numbers don't add up, don't panic. Here are 3 strategies you can implement immediately to improve your situation. First, remember your greatest asset is your ability to earn an income. It's not about how much you make, but about how much you keep. I've seen high income earners with little to no savings and people with modest incomes with these impressive nest eggs. The key is not letting your necessary expenses grow with your income. If you're bringing home $4,000 a month and your necessary living expenses are $3,500, you have $500 in free cash flow. The key is being smart where you direct that money. It could be paying off higher interest debt, or it allows you to save and invest more. But what typically happens is we buy the new car or we buy a bigger house and we trap ourselves into a new higher monthly payment. Our car insurance goes up. Furnishing the new house costs money, plus all the extra costs that come with home ownership. And lo and behold, our necessary living expenses jump above $4,000 a month, and we're putting more stress on ourselves. This doesn't have to be the case if we regain control of our spending and understand what we need to live comfortably in retirement. This is why the first step is so important in understanding our retirement budget. So if we need to make some changes, we can do so as soon as possible. Second is to give your money a job. Every dollar you make needs a job. If you don't assign one, it'll get spent on something you don't need. I recommend following a system to automate your finances and keep yourself on track. Now, the easiest way to do this is to set up 3 bank accounts, one for spending, one for saving, and one for investing, and use the 75-15-10 plan. Every time you get paid, your money will flow through this funnel. 75% is the maximum you can spend, 15% is the minimum you invest, and save 10% until you have an emergency fund. Once you build your emergency fund, that 10% can go into investments or put towards any high interest debt. The goal is to have every dollar you earn flow through this funnel into the appropriate bank account, because you don't want to commingle your money and accidentally spend your savings money or accidentally spend your investing money. So keep the 3 accounts separate to avoid making any mistakes. And finally, rethink your timeline for retirement. It's okay if you plan to work longer, because honestly, the traditional retirement age of 65 is outdated. We are living significantly longer nowadays, and 70 is the new 65. The odds that you or your spouse live into your 90s and beyond is statistically high, higher than most people think. Many are working into their 70s, often because they enjoy staying active, they love what they do, and they never want to stop learning. If you are tired of your current job, consider transitioning into something you enjoy that doesn't feel like work. Or plan on retiring from your current job when you are ready and know what you're going to do next that doesn't feel like work, but can still provide you with an income stream. Here's how these 4 pieces can help you feel more confident. Piece 1 gives you your spending target. Piece 2 shows your guaranteed income floor. Piece 3 reveals what investments you have to work with. And the final piece gives you strategies to catch up. When you combine them, you get clarity instead of uncertainty, and you'll have a roadmap showing you exactly where you stand and what actions to take next. Now, for many of you, knowing when to take your Social Security will play a big role in your retirement income. You've probably heard it's best to wait until age 70 to get the highest monthly amount, but that's not always the case. In this video, I walk through 7 compelling reasons why claiming Social Security early might be the right move for you. So click here to watch, and I'll see you over there.